All right, so last section. So we have surface area and volume of a sphere. So a sphere is a ball. Kind of do a circle like that, and circle like that. So surface area 4 pi r squared. So really, like with some of the pyramids and cones, we could draw triangles and all kinds of other stuff. With this, I can either give you the radius or I can give you the diameter. There's not like anything else I can do with just like find the surface area. So, if I gave you like the diameter is 8, well then 4 pi 4 squared, so I can do that and multiply it out. 64 pi equals 201.1 if you round it off. Okay, so I mean there's really, like I said, there's not a whole lot you can do differently when you do that. So you just need the radius, okay, in order to do like surface area. So the curved ball could be, if it said like the circumference equals like 12 pi, so like the circumference of like that, like circle that goes through like the middle. So the circumference like formula would be 2 pi r, and then it's going to equal 12 pi. So then when you solve for r, you get r equals, the pi part reduces, and the 12 divided by 2 is just 6. And then you would plug it into 4 pi 6 squared. So that's 144 pi. Or 452.4. So remember, like we want to do both and circle the other one. Do the in terms of pi and the decimal. Okay, so there could be different like things that it asks you. In terms of just finding surface area and then also finding the surface area but given circumference or given diameter. Like those are the two kind of curveballs that you can get thrown, but I still don't think it's anything like super crazy. So you could also have, or you're going to, well, it doesn't have diameter, so you're good there. Okay, so it's the same problems. You're just going to solve, like again for r. And then you'll have, find the volume of a sphere with the given surface area. Okay, so it's going to kind of combine the two. There's something about surface area. You're going to plug that answer in. The surface area is, you're going to put surface area equals 4 pi r squared. And you're going to solve for r. So if it says like the surface area equals, and like let's do like a hard one, give you a decimal. And in a lot of them, it'll include this pi part, which actually helps. So then it might say if the surface area is that, like find the diameter. So I'm still going to use the formula. So the surface area, it's saying like the answer is 2025 pi, and then it's 4 pi r squared is the actual like formula. So if I solve for r, times 2 for the diameter. Okay, so again, divide by 4 pi. And so the pi part reduces itself out, and you get this like 5.0625, you know, if you use the decimal like all the way through. And then we're going to square root it, and we get 2.25 for the radius. But it wants to know diameter, so I would need to add like another 2.25, and we get 4.5 for the diameter. Okay, so you'll have some, again, it's just plugging it into the formula and solving an equation. Find the radius if the surface area is, find the radius if the surface area is, find the diameter, so like 2 of each. Okay. So the other word that we're going to deal with in terms of like surface area, and it kind of works with like geography. Hemisphere. So the Earth has a northern hemisphere and a southern hemisphere, and it's cut by the equator, which is right down or right in the middle of like the globe. So basically, if we had like a full like surface area, if we're saying to find like a hemisphere, it's half of it. So I would just find the whole thing and then divide by 2. Okay. I suppose you could, if the formula is 4 pi r squared, the surface area is half of that, so would it make sense that we have 2 pi r squared? Half of 4, 2. Okay, so you'll have a couple problems that say find the surface area of the hemisphere. Okay, and then let's see, you're going to go through that problem. All right, so volume, it's a little bit hard. This same problem here, you're just going to solve for r and then like plug it back in. Cubed. If it says, okay, because of the formula, 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay, so instead of area is always squared, volume is always to the 3rd power. You know, so and then we put the 3rd like kind of power like underneath the 4. That's the way I always kind of remember it. So you know you're going to get some decimals on these just because you know the fraction means divide by 3. So if the numbers you're working with don't end up being able to be divisible by 3, then you're going to have like some fractions, or you're going to have some decimals involved regardless. Okay, so you know if I had, just to show you one that's with a decimal, but like, so let's say the radius was 5. So I'd get 5 to the 3rd power, which is 125, times 4, and then 500 divided by 3 is like a big old long decimal, but 500 divided by 3. So I'm okay if you leave this as your answer for pi, because the decimal is like, you know, 166.66666, you know, so it's 166.7. But to do your excuse me, to do your answer in turn, as a decimal, you can do 500 divided by 3 and then do times pi, and we get 523.6. So you're going to get an answer that's similar to the numerator. So I wanted to point this out too, because if you divide by 3 and then multiply by 3.14, you're almost like canceling each other out. But you got that extra 0.14 and so on, like decimals, so it's going to be a little bit bigger than like your numerator if it doesn't like divide out. Okay, so if I used a number like 3 or 6 in the radius, then you're going to be able to divide by 3 and you'll just get a whole number with pi and then multiply it out. So you'll have, again, some that, the same like type of problem. If there's find this volume, if the circumference is, and then you're going to, back, if it talks about, well, the volume of something is, find the radius, well, the volume it's the answer is where the word volume is. And then you're going to put equals 4/3 pi r. Okay, so if it said the surface area equals 324 pi, find the volume. So again, I need r. Like to find the surface area, I need radius. To find the volume, I need radius. So if I know the surface area equals 4 pi r squared, then I can solve. Again, the pi's cancel each other out. 324 divided by 4 is 81. So square root radius equals 9. So then come over here, 4/3 pi r cubed, and plug in 9. Okay, and then like work that out. So 4/3 pi 9 to the third power is 729. So you can, since you're using a calculator, you can either do times 4 and then divide by 3, or you can divide by 3 and then times 4 to get like the answer. I'll just do times 4 to be consistent with that other one. So we get 2916 over 3 pi, but then I can divide that by 3 and I get 972 pi. Or if I multiply it times pi, we're going to need a big number. 3053.6. Okay, so just finding the general like surface area and volume like really isn't that hard. Honestly, these aren't very hard either. We're just solving an equation. If you can't do that, then I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you should be able to do that because we're in geometry. But, we're just plugging it into the different, like, formulas. Okay, so if we... All right, the last thing is composites. Okay, so, if we have... This is always like hard for me to like draw. So it's kind of like that's kind of bad. So it's like a hemisphere or half of like a cylinder, or a sphere rather, on top of a cylinder. So we have like half a sphere there, and then we have a cylinder. things are going well there. And we'll see you next time.